Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful weekend with plenty going on. Stephen A. pissing off Mile High City folks. You had the NFL Combine, and then Russell Wilson removing anything to do with the Denver Broncos on his Twitter bio. So plenty to get into. And, of course, the best person to do that with after he's had 8 cups of coffee is Jay Merilatt on this Monday.
Ready to go. Little sleep deprived, but plenty of caffeine, so we're making up for it.
Love it. Okay, let's start with Stephen A. because that's obviously coming out right now, where essentially goes on to say he hopes that it runs through Dallas or somewhere else besides the Mile High City. He was on with Mark and Mike earlier this morning and kind of goes on to say it's because of the altitude. Not because of anything to do with Denver sports, and it's a wonderful sports town, but he doesn't like the headaches and the nosebleeds that he gets when he's here.
Okay, that's fair. Like when you come here and you don't live here, it is different. Like,
drink some water.
People, I'm with you. There are ways to deal with it. We all have gotten used to it and deal with it all the time. Yeah. There's a ton of travelers who come here all the time. But I just, we're so sensitive in this town and get so easily offended if anybody says anything. It's like there are thousands of people moving here all the time. Like we get complimented via that constantly.
Maybe I want more Stephen A. so people won't come here.
Right.
You don't need to move here.
Send them all away, right? But no, it's like, come on. We're just always looking for something to be offended by. We get it. The Nuggets don't get any respect. Denver's a flyover city, especially in the NBA, because it's all about the coasts. I'm over people complaining about it. I like being the little secret here on the plains. That's fine with me.
Okay. I kind of like where you're going with this. You know, I was expecting James to come in here and be like, oh, Stephen A., shut the hell up in a sort of way. No, I kind of like it.
No.
You're being positive today.
Yeah, I mean, it's if he wants to have that opinion, it's great. He wants to probably go to a different town than, he went to a year ago. Look, you went to, well, you'll be going this year if the Nuggets and the Avs go far enough, right? Let's just take the Avs as an example.
Okay.
Would you rather go watch them play the Kraken or the Oilers?
Ooh. Probably the Oilers, actually.
You'd rather go to Edmonton?
Yeah, I'd rather go to
Well, that backfired on me. But you get what I'm saying, right?
So I can get another stamp on my passport, though.
But, I mean, Edmonton's kind of it's a little bit of more of a pain to get to. It's a smaller town.
Would I rather go to New York over, like, Tampa? Yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
I get what you're going with on the coast part, but yeah.
Like if the Nuggets played the Warriors and you get to stay in San Francisco, like, when the Buffs moved to the Pac-12, one of the big things was, hey, look at the cities now the road games will be in. It's Tempe, it's LA, it's San Francisco, it's Seattle, versus going to Ames, Iowa. No offense to Ames, Iowa. It's actually a cool little town and it's a fun college town.
You've been there before.
But yeah, it's not bad.
Good to know.
But
I get your point.
It's just like, come on. You don't have to take offense to everything.
Okay, we are being a little like, maybe we should just let this one slide, move on from it. Yeah. It is what it is. I think people just get pissed off because it feels like the Nuggets constantly get passed over, right? And it's like, oh, well, why wouldn't you want to come here? And maybe it has nothing to do with the Nuggets.
It feels like they do because we keep saying they do. They've got a two-time MVP.
Yes.
He's going to win a third one.
Yes.
They just won a championship. Like, at what point do we get over this little brother syndrome?
Do you still think it's there? I'm
still worried about it.
The Nuggets ruined LeBron's big night.
I was on the drive last week and they asked me who I was more worried about, the Avs and the Nuggets. And I said the Nuggets, despite the fact that they haven't lost since the All-Star break, because it's been ingrained in me that they're going to get a bad whistle in the playoffs. And, I'm 50 and I'm a fatalistic Nuggets fan for the last 40 plus years. Yeah. Like, I've seen it so many times. It's hard to get over. But I'm trying to be self-aware and realize I should be over it. Because we just have recent history saying that was the previous Nuggets, not this current regime.
Nikola Jokic, even if they go to the line like 2 times, he'll figure out a way to pull out a W. So,
right.
But I will disagree with you. You should be more worried about the Avs.
I think you're probably right.
Oh boy, they cannot figure out how to win on the road, and it is definitely a struggle. So plenty to get into there. Hopefully a trade deadline. We will have good content coming for you later this week on that. Now, with it all being said, Saturday was a big day for the Denver Broncos because we got to see the quarterbacks throw. J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, lots of names out there. Who impressed you the most?
I mean, look, they're out there throwing in shorts and a T-shirt. I thought Michael Penix Jr. looked great. I mean, he threw a 70-yard pass, right? Like, that's what you're hoping to see. You want to be wowed by those kind of things.
Offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's, so that was very impressive. The kind of thing you saw during Josh Allen's pro day up at Wyoming. You know, he's able to roll one way and launch it the other way. The number of times you're going to make that throw in a game or in a season, a handful, but still to have that ability is cool. So that jumped off the screen.
Do you put more stock into pro days or the combine?
Pro day.
Agreed.
I'm more interested in how you throw to guys you're used to throwing to, because that's more. It's not game-like, but it's more game-like, right? When you're out there throwing to random guys and you're in a stadium that you haven't been in and their surroundings are different, I think you got to take it all with a little bit of a grain of salt. But look, the Broncos are picking 12. They haven't had a first-round pick in a couple of years. That's fun. They're in the quarterback market, most likely.
They are.
That's fun. So it's interesting. I'm more interested in the combine this year than I've ever been. Cecil and Mace were all over it.
Fantastic.
I couldn't open up social media without seeing a new video from those guys from Indy. So I can't wait to hear what they have to say today on Orange and Blue Today, because they're back in town and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm into it. But I thought Michael Penix Jr. stock went up. It was weird how much it went down after the national championship game. I mean, he didn't play well, but it's like, geez, you lost in the national title game. JJ McCarthy went up.
JJ McCarthy going up, though, like, people are now saying you need to move up into like the top 5 for him. That feels a little bit like
it's
a stretch.
Silly to me.
Just a little bit.
Did I tell you my conspiracy theory?
Oh, no, but I love conspiracy theories.
I brought this. Oh, no, it was with Will. That's what it was on Denver Sports Tonight last week. Normally, when you're looking at a player, you would go to their college and you would talk to their college coaches and try to find out kind of what makes them tick, right? That's what Sean Payton talked about. We got to sit down. We got to talk to these guys. We got to get to know them. All right. Well, with JJ McCarthy, you're going to go to Michigan, talk to that staff. Who used to be their head coach? Jim Harbaugh. He's now with the Chargers.
Yep.
So if I'm the Michigan staff and I don't think JJ McCarthy's all that great, I'm hyping him up so the Broncos make a mistake and blow their number 12 overall pick. There's my conspiracy theory for you.
Wait, I actually love the conspiracy theory.
Right? Shoot holes in it.
I'm like,
why would they not do that? And it helps their guy.
Yeah.
Their guy's going to get picked. They're not knocking their guy to where he falls. That would be lowbrow. They're overhyping him to where he gets overpicked.
So he's
making more money.
Do you not go and like talk to him? Because
I
you
don't
just don't know.
You got to take it with a grain of salt.
Interesting. I don't know how to feel about this.
It skews any information you're going to get on JJ McCarthy from the Michigan staff. It has to skew it.
Yes.
Now,
wait, I don't know how I feel about this.
Coaches move around all the time and, change staffs and all the rest of it. So, they'll probably be fairly honest, but maybe not.
Wait,
might overhype him.
I do not know how I feel about this now at this point. Now you have my brain. It's a Monday, James. Why'd you have to do this to me? My brain is spinning.
I'm going to be panicked if they take JJ McCarthy. I hope all these quarterbacks go early. Brock Bowers falls to 12. They take him, solve that position, and then figure out the quarterback. Hopefully the quarterback's still on the roster right now, but I'm losing faith with each passing day.
We saw the daddy-daughter dance video come out this weekend, in case you missed that.
I missed it.
Oh, we were delivering flowers. We wrote love notes. It was beautiful, really.
That's
but
great.
We haven't seen that in a year because of Sean Payton. So he's gone. He removes anything with the Broncos in his Twitter bio or X bio. It's coming to an end. And I'm wondering, over or under 3.5 days until we find out?
Well, free agency starts a week from Wednesday on the 13th. I think 2:00 local time.
Yep.
So it's got to happen before then.
Yep.
His contract doesn't trigger till the 18th. So I guess that's when it has to happen. I don't know that it goes down this week. I'm going to say
no.
Past this week. I think it's going to be, it might be a Friday 5:00 news dump. Maybe. So let's do Friday, 4:30 p.m. I'll take the over.
Oh, I'm taking the under.
Okay.
I think it's happening this week.
Okay.
I think
it's coming at 4:48 on Friday if it happens this week.
Listen, I'll buy you a coffee if you're right on that one.
I could use another one.
Here, I'll just show you the daddy-daughter dance real quick. We got the full white tuxedo look. It's really wonderful.
I don't think we should be hard on Russ for the things he does like that. That's cool.
As somebody who documents literally her entire life, I totally get it. I just think this was shot by Sierra, so I have a little bit more this was a family moment. It's when he has the big crews that come out and shoot that kind of stuff that I'm like, Russ, this is a little whatchamacallit. But it's just funny that Sean was like, nope, we're not doing any of this. We didn't see anything like this out of Russell Wilson for so long. Now it's back because you just know he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, he is. The handwriting's on the wall, right?
Yes.
I'm holding on, clutching to this dream that they come to their senses and don't move on from him. It's happening. Even I will admit that. But I don't have an issue with any of this stuff. Like, man, and the percentage of guys that get in trouble, it's very, very small. But let's worry about people that do things like that rather than, hey, they're making kind of a corny video about a father-daughter dance. Like, okay, good for him. That's cool.
Before we went live, James was telling us about somebody he saw that was hitting a trash can. And all I could think about is we should be more worried about those people than Russell Wilson going to a
My neighbor was having a fight with his trash can.
Yeah.
And it was a full-on fight. Like, he was yelling at the trash can, then he would punch it, then he'd get back in his stance and yell at it some more, then he'd roundhouse
but what
kick
was
it.
he yelling at it
It
about?
didn't make a lot of sense, but there were curse words.
Okay.
So it wasn't like some sort of odd
Do
workout.
we assume illegal substances were involved in this?
I'm sensing, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, there was something going on.
But anyway.
It was just another bizarre day in Erie. That's all I'll say.
Russ also tweets out, so grateful yesterday at 4:00. And to be honest, I read that and I thought he found out what team he's going to go to, or he found out what team is interested in him.
Now, I don't like what do they call it? Is that a subtweet? Is that what you call it? When you don't really say what you're doing, but like.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like that. But I don't like that when anybody does it.
Yeah.
It's like the friend of yours on Facebook who checks in at the hospital and it says, send good vibes my way, but they don't tell you why they're there.
Agreed.
It's like, come on. That's what that is.
But I couldn't help when I saw it. I was just like, is this him being like, oh, I just found out the next team I'm going to go to? And I'm
maybe, and we're all worried about it. You don't think they're going to win 11, 12 games if he goes to Pittsburgh? You don't think the Raider game both times next year if he goes to Vegas is going to be lit, as the kids say? Do they still say that anymore?
They do. I don't know. I'm starting to get out of that age where I'm officially like a little too old and I'm like, oh, crap. I don't know all the sayings. Yeah. Which is scary because I'm only 28.
Bet? You hear bet?
Bet
yeah,
still
I get that all the time.
The Steelers come to Denver.
I know.
Could you imagine?
That'll be off the charts. That could be like opening Monday nighter.
I think you do, because you don't know if Russ is going to be good throughout the season.
Right. They learned their lesson a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, when he went back to Seattle, that was the opening Monday night game that year with the Broncos. I think that game, Pittsburgh coming here, it might even be the Sunday night opener.
Is that where you're putting him? Pittsburgh?
I think that's the most likely.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Raiders is a good option too, though, because they got a lot of skill guys. It's a good spot to go.
Yeah.
He's a bargain. He's going to be $1.2 million for whoever signs him. He goes and does a 1-year deal, prove it. I think based on what he had here, he's got to look at it and say, where can I go where I'm set up to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
And that's who's the running back, who the receivers, who the tight end, what's the offensive line look like, what's the defense look like?
Is the coach saying, Russ, you're going to follow my game plan, or I'm going to follow what you kind of want to do?
I think the coach is saying, you're going to follow my game plan. And I don't think Russ has an issue with that. Like, Hackett gave him the keys. And if I'm a 15-year-old kid and somebody gives me a key to a sports car,
let's go,
it's
baby.
my fault if I go for a drive?
Let's ride.
Right.
It's the
fault of the person who gave me the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as Jer Bear came in and said, hey, we're not doing that anymore, Russ didn't have a problem. With Sean, he didn't have a problem running what Sean wanted to run, other than in the Detroit game when I think Sean couldn't read his play sheet.
Still so good.
I don't. Russell Wilson was never a bad teammate.
No.
Publicly. Like, we never heard anything.
Agreed. He could have bashed the Broncos super hard, divided the locker room. Like,
he always
went
up to the podium and said all the right things to the point of being nauseating, right?
Yeah.
Like, he would list 18 different guys because he didn't want to offend somebody by leaving out Lloyd. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Come on now.
So I think wherever he goes, especially if it's somebody he respects, and Mike Tomlin would be at the top of that list.
Agreed.
I think it's going to work out great. I think if you're a Steelers fan, you're doing cartwheels. Russell Wilson is such an improvement over Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph.
Fair.
I mean,
why do you think it is that Bronco fans turned so quickly on Russ?
Because they didn't win games. But I think it's that simple.
It was really until he got benched, and everyone was so high on Russ, he gets benched, and it feels like everything turned.
I think he
was still playing the same. Like, we just all knew he was going to get benched for other reasons.
I think it turned really quickly in year one. I really do. I mean, if you think back to how that season started, right, and it was the loss in the opener at Seattle, the 64-yarder, left hash. We're just going to settle for the field goal. There was the loss to the Colts here, where he didn't hit KJ Hamler, who was wide open at the end of the game to win it in overtime. Was that game 12-9?
Yeah.
He threw 2 picks late in that game that they should have won that game 9-6. But that was a snoozer. The win against the Niners, I think, was like 12-11. Like it was national game after national game after national game that they played so poorly. They're having the crowd having to do the play clock.
Yeah.
Like it was just embarrassing. And I think people turned on him and he could never dig his way out of that. And once the media, and it's always convenient to bash the media, but once the media turned on him,
it was over.
He was toast. It was just that the narrative just became negative.
Do you think he regrets coming here?
He has to.
I would.
I mean, I would completely regret it.
I would. What a million. He was like the man in Seattle.
Where else could it have gone that it would have turned out this poorly?
Yeah.
I mean, Hackett was a total disaster.
And we're finding out that even with New York now, he's a disaster.
The same problems they had here. So you almost got a first year not put that on Russ.
Okay. Since we were talking about conspiracies, does this just kind of, set they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. That's why they hired Nathaniel Hackett.
100%.
And Russell Wilson was just the backup plan.
Yeah. And then they panicked, right? They hired this guy. Aaron Rodgers was coming here.
The Aaron Rodgers stuff come out, pardon me if I have my timeline wrong, but like it all came out around the draft. Like, wasn't it?
Well, that was the first time, right? When
that was a year before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember tweeting out something about how George, because Aaron Rodgers said he's going back to the Packers, and was like, George Payton didn't get his guy. John Elway had some misses, but at least he could close a deal. And 2 hours later, I'm getting ripped because George Payton pulled off the trade for Russell Wilson.
Oh.
So it was the same day.
Okay.
We were all, our digital group, and Will and Jake and Mace, everybody like, we're ready for the Aaron Rodgers news. Then we're all bummed. Yeah. And you get to, middle of Stokely and Zach at that point, and all of a sudden it's, oh my gosh, we get some big news. So yeah, they were totally planning on Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. So that conspiracy theory is like, yep, it was going to be Aaron Rodgers.
That's
Nathaniel
why they hired
Hackett. Oh man.
I mean,
what could be though now if Aaron Rodgers had come?
Do you think it would have worked?
It would have been better than Russ.
Because they would have just done what they did in Green Bay?
Yeah. I think this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but I think Aaron Rodgers has, despite some of, off the field stuff, I think he has a better grasp of like on the football field. Like we kind of saw with what was happening up there with the Jets, that I just feel like overall it would have looked a little bit prettier. And I feel like Russ was trying so hard to be what everybody thought he like wasn't.
Yeah.
And so like it never works that way.
It would have been, you're right. It would have been better because Russ got too big for his britches.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively, right? Like
exactly.
He tried to be something he wasn't, which again, I don't have a problem with that. We all do that. We all bite 100%. Off more than we can chew because we're trying to do whatever. The only sin in that would have been if he didn't notice it and didn't have any self-awareness. He did. He came back in shape. He went back to being the guy he was in Seattle. Yep. And by and large, this past season, he looked like the same quarterback he was in Seattle. Aaron Rodgers.
They just didn't have the running back. Yeah,
they didn't have the just kind of the mojo.
Yeah.
Like there were so many games that the Seahawks pulled the rabbit out of their hat at the end. And it was like, I mean, Russ was kind of Elway-esque early in John's career of like, didn't play very well for 3.5 quarters. Defense kept you in it. And up there, it was like Pete just telling them, all right, Russ, go win it. And he would improvise and pull it off. Aaron Rodgers would have come here and been what Aaron Rodgers had always been. Mm-hmm. So it would have been, I think, a more consistent product. Yeah. I think that trying to turn himself into something he wasn't with a head coach that was in over his head too, just turned into the perfect storm of a mess. And not a very good roster. Like that, all of it went against him.
Fair. Is Aaron Rodgers a better quarterback than Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
So there can tell us what everything
I mean,
we need to know.
He without a doubt is.
Yeah. All right. Well,
and that's coming from as big a Russ fan as you'll ever come across.
This guy's a huge Russ fan, so for him to say that. But it would have been interesting. What could have been. You never know.
Sean Payton wouldn't be here. Like the butterfly effect. Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother show.
That is literally a whole other show.
More coffee?
More coffee for sure. How many over under 10 cups today for you?
I think I got to be done because I'm starting to have one long run on sentence and the jitters. I got to be done.
I always get the jitters. All right. Well, always a pleasure. Thank you so much on this Merilatt Monday. And thank you guys for all hanging with us in the comments and chatting with us. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for another episode of Denver Sports Daily, 12 p.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. And then make sure you watch Orange and Blue today. They're going to be talking a ton about the Combine, guaranteed. You can check that out at 4 p.m. at Mountain Time. We'll see you guys later. Get back to work, everybody. Bye.